Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of Mark's Side of the Ring. And then there were 3 today. Kev not with us, unfortunately, this week. Busy getting accosted by random people in service stations for bottles of Prime, from what I heard, something like that on Facebook. But we'll try and keep you entertained for the next hour or so. There's myself, Robbie, and Peter here to break down all kind of the wrestling news and the stuff over the last week. How you doing, guys?
Not too bad. You yourself?
Good. Yeah, I'm great. Absolutely great. It's been a canny week for wrestling. I think a bit quieter than maybe some of the other ones that we've covered so far. But again, I don't think that makes it any. I think some cool events, some great matches, which I think that we'll get stuck into, and just a lot to talk about generally. Before we do, how's your week been, Robbie? Have you been up to much?
Watching the wrestling.
Yeah.
As I should do. Couple of new additions to the house, 2 cats, but apart from that, been quite quiet.
Yeah, and obviously we were talking before we came on. Obviously, I think our listeners would probably get the link with the names for the new additions to the house as well.
Yeah, so we've got one of them's called Bray, and obviously his little brother's called Brody. Nice. But it was a no-brainer, really.
Anyway, so how about you, Peter? How have things been going for you?
Good. Just it's the same old. Punch in, punch out at work and get on. And then spent kind of this morning catching up with as much wrestling as I could. It's hard to kind of cram it in during the week. So kind of Friday night up until pretty much whenever we decided to press record, kind of that's like get it fitted in. So I crammed in No Mercy this afternoon, and as much as AEW stuff as I could and WWE highlights. But and on that, but like you said, news-wise, it's been quite quiet, and I think that's probably the first time we can say that for 2023 as a whole. Never mind just this week.
Well, yeah.
At some point, 2023 needs to put the beer down and take a break from trying to slurp 2022.
And apologies in advance for anyone. So again, like my week's been much the same. Obviously work, wrestling, all that kind of stuff. But you might hear my voice is a little croaky. If we contemplated doing this episode on Thursday, I didn't have a voice on Thursday. It just wouldn't have happened. Like, absolutely not. So, again, if, I'll try and turn my mic off if I'm going to cough or splutter or anything like that. But my voice is slowly coming back. And like I say, we'll certainly talk about NXT No Mercy. I think we've all watched that today, which is good. We can get caught up on that. AEW Wrestle Dream is just around the corner as well. But what we'll do first, we'll dive in to some of the wrestling news. After weeks of speculation, former AEW TBS champion Jade Cargill has officially signed with WWE. Jade spent her first day as a WWE superstar training at the Performance Center, and her signing was even mentioned on SmackDown Friday night. Speculation now turns to where and when Jade lands in WWE for her debut. My money is on the Royal Rumble. WWE's next premium live event is beginning to take shape, with Seth freaking Rollins giving Shinsuke Nakamura a rematch for the World Heavyweight Championship in a last man standing match. Meanwhile, John Cena and LA Knight will join forces against Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa. Tune in to our next episode of Mark's Side of the Ring for our predictions for the first WWE PLE of the TKO era. Over in AEW, we're just hours away from their latest pay-per-view Wrestle Dream, with many big matches scheduled. One wrestler who won't be competing, of course, is Adam Cole. One half of the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions confirmed breaking his ankle in 3 places, leaving MJF to defend their title solo against the Righteous tonight. However, not everyone's convinced. I can see some smirks there, wondering if this is merely the latest chapter in what's been a phenomenal story surrounding Cole and the AEW champion. And then, as we've said, NXT kicked the weekend off right with an excellent show on the WWE Network. Highlights of No Mercy included Becky Lynch retaining her NXT Women's title against Tiffany Stratton in an Extreme Rules match, while Ilya Dragunov finally bested Carmelo Hayes to become our new NXT champion. So let's start there. I've been watching this guy for a while. What do we think about our new NXT champion?
He's intense.
Mm-hmm.
You buy into his character and you believe he's a badass. And I think him and Carmelo Hayes had one of the matches of the night by far.
It was a great match, and I think, to be fair, like I say, I love the black and gold era of NXT, as I'm sure a lot of us did. When 2.0 started, I'd probably drifted out a little before then, but certainly at that point. But I feel kind of the last certainly the last 3 or 4 months, they've really been on a bit of a tear, and I have been making a point of kind of catching the show more. I think Becky, kind of being the women's champion, has got more eyes on the show, not just the events, but the weekly show as well. So now, and again, it's interesting to see who they're wanting to be their champions in probably quite a crucial moment where people are. I'm certainly thinking to myself, am I going to start watching NXT weekly again? Is this something that I'm going to kind of make that effort to make as part of my week? Do you think that he's a good champion? Do you think he's a good choice in that sense to get people interested to think, oh, right, okay, I want to check out his matches. I want to see what he's got.
I think it's one of these things that he's not necessarily going to be. Or maybe somebody else that maybe he's performs. So obviously, whenever we watch wrestling, we're wanting something to lose ourselves and something to want to pull.
I don't know if he's here. He might have gone. Can you hear him all right, Robbie?
No.
I think he might have gone. He might have gone. I'm sure we'll get him back in a minute. I think this is just the joys of live podcasting, isn't it? Mm-hmm. I think sometimes we can lose people. But the picture's a little there. Hopefully we'll get Peter back shortly. I think we are. We'll just keep an eye and we'll see how we go. I mean, I really enjoyed the main event. I really enjoyed the women's match. Becky Lynch. I mean, I like Becky Lynch. She's, I know obviously she's a massive name and she's one that people have got really, obviously she's main event at WrestleMania and all of this kind of stuff. But I wouldn't say that I was kind of high up in my list of women's wrestlers, but I cannot fault either of them for the match that they put on. Absolutely phenomenal. And I think that Tiffany Stratton I think that she kind of gave as good as she got as well and put in a really good showing for someone. I think she said she'd had maybe 2 years experience at this point. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was a really good match. I mean, it was better than that. Was it the Terry Funk hardcore match he had on SmackDown a few weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they both turned up and they both went for it, which is not something you would normally see in a women's Extreme Rules match. But they didn't care. I mean, they were jumping off the turnbuckles in the tables, kendo stick, chair shots, everything you wanted in an Extreme Rules match.
There's a photo that Becky's put on Instagram as well. So she's got like photos from the night. If you swipe through, it's a cut on her arm. And it's to the point where like some of the tissue's coming out. It's like not for everyone. It's pretty gross, like, to be fair. But it just shows how much they took it. And one thing I've got to say, it's like, obviously when I think of Swanton Bombs, I think of Jeff Hardy. Yeah, I think everybody does. He's by no means the only guy. But I do think, and I've thought this a couple of times now watching Tiffany Stratton, her Swanton Bomb is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just perfect. So, like, for me, and I think what's interesting is she plays this almost kind of Barbie type gimmick.
Yeah.
Like, that it would be easy to dismiss her and be like, oh, she's one of those, which I guess people do. But I think for me, actually, she's really shown her worth. And I think that she's going to be, I'd like to think she's going to be a hell of a player kind of in the years to come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. She's shown up last night and she shows she's not messing about. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed the match.
Yeah, I think we've got you back now, Peter. What did you think of Becky and Tiffany?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I liked the point that was made on commentary about Tiffany Stratton about whether she was going to be kind of out of the depth in that kind of a match from a character point of view. But the point out she's the character's quite a spiteful person. So in a sense that it would be right in her wheelhouse because it's like she wouldn't be above doing that thing. But I think see how far she's come on in such a short space of time. It is really a joy to see. She's an incredible athlete, that goes without saying, but she seems to understand it as well. Obviously, she was asked about when she wanted to kind of go up to Raw SmackDown. She was like, I'm not ready yet. I need more time. I think that kind of level of self-awareness, I think, is really good. That shows that she's thinking about it a little bit more. She's thinking about the why, not just the how. So I think that's going to stand in good stead when she eventually gets onto Raw SmackDown.
I mean, were there any other matches that kind of stood out for you? Because again, I think for me it was and it's the only word I can think of. It makes like it's not the best word for it. Like it was just an inoffensive wrestling card. Do you know what I mean? Like it was just the matches went. There were good matches all the way through. You know what I mean? Like it was a nice bit of business for NXT. Do you know what I mean? Were there any other matches that stood out for you? I know, Robbie, did you post? You quite like the tag team title match, didn't you?
Yeah, again, it's just full of action, and then that spot where they all done a suplex off a turnbuckle. I was off expecting the ring to collapse. I thought it was going to be one of them spots, but yeah, I mean, like even Angel Garza and Humberto, I mean, they seem to have had a massive rejuvenation down in NXT, and they're believable now. Whereas on the main roster, they were just the pretty boys, really, weren't they?
And I think that's it. I think sometimes getting back and just, having a bit of time back there and kind of resetting, I think it's done the world of good for Baron Corbin as well. Obviously, he opened the show with Bron Breakker. Again, pretty good match. I'd argue that Bron's been ready for a while to get himself on the main roster, but it's not going to hurt him having matches against the likes of Baron Corbin in the meantime. So again, that was another one that stood out for me. Overall, if maybe you're someone who's kind of lapsed from NXT, I think it's a really good time to pick it up again. And from what I've been reading online, the consensus seems to be people agree that it's like, it was a great event. There's some great names kind of coming through. Obviously, a lot of presence from the main roster with people like Dominic Mysterio and Becky and Baron Corbin. So it's, again, maybe taking that time to check it out and seeing what you think.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, one thing I wasn't going to talk about. What was that? Sorry.
I said, yeah, 100% agree with that take. Yeah, I think it's a fun show to watch.
Yeah. Now, I wasn't going to mention this, but then when I was reading the news bits here, you both smirked, so I feel like I've got to bring it up now. That obviously on Dynamite, Adam Cole came out, he had the cast on, all this stuff, sat down. I've broke my ankle in 3 places. I've got to have surgery. I'd read just before we came on, apparently Britt Baker's been given time off to kind of help him with his recuperation, all of this kind of stuff. But there just doesn't seem to be this. There's no let up in people thinking, is this a swerve? Is this a swerve? Is something coming here? For many reasons, some quite really people paying very close attention to things as well to come to this kind of decision of like, well, actually, I don't think he's hurt at all. Or if he is, this isn't the last that we've seen of Adam Cole on TV for a while. I mean, I'm guessing from your reaction when I was reading it out that you both think whether he's broke his ankle or not, this is a swerve and that there's more to this than just he's taking some time off.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd
we've
like
seen
to
this
say
before.
I smirked because Robbie smirked, so I smirked it because Robbie did. Because I knew when he did, I knew what he was thinking.
Yeah, me too. And it's like, I'd love that to be the case as well. Like, I'd absolutely love it. Browser ran out of storage. Recording has stopped. What's happening there? Never known to do that before. Right, bear with us. I'm going to come out and back in, and then we'll just pick up where we were. That's a bit frustrating. Hang on, I'll be back.
Well, apparently we're still live on Facebook. So hello everyone if you're still watching.
Was still on, or
I was still on. Well, apparently we're still live on Facebook. So yeah,
it's just me and you.
For like
a minute.
Minutes, we've been sat like a few turkeys waiting for the technical issues to get resolved. But when Mike comes back, we'll get back into the Adam Cole is it or isn't a work. But I think it's a. If I'm totally honest, I don't think it is. I don't think you can work the whole locker room on that and get away with it and not upset someone. So we'll see.
Not unless you're all in on it.
Let's try that again.
Well, I mean, there's also that, but given the amount of stuff that comes out of that locker room, do you think you can keep a secret?
There we go. Apologies for that. I'm back. I think that that may have been continuing to stream as I'd gone. I think it was some crazy stuff on my end.
Yeah, it did,
Obviously, having some gremlins here. I think it's just doing it to me again. I don't know what's going on. No idea. Bear with us here. Sorry about this.
No, it's all right.
Because the thing is, with maybe on a Chromebook, it shouldn't have to worry about storage and stuff because it's all going on the cloud. So
I mean, we are still, all three of us
we're
still
still
on.
live.
We're still,
We're
still
So we're still streaming there
There's
at
gonna be
least. So
some-
maybe just not recording. How
So when you hear
strange.
this on Spotify, there's going to be some wonderfully magical editing to.
Oh, there will
to
be.
get people
That's
this.
my
So-
bag. I'm amazing at that.
It's
So
what-
no, I
it's
can
why
look.
we all
I'm just
sound
seeing.
So good the day after.
So we're going on YouTube and we're going on Facebook. So I'm inclined to just keep going because I can get the audio elsewhere. So we'll just keep going. We'll take it from there. So what were you guys saying while I've been jumping in and out in an absolute panic trying to get everything fixed?
Robbie said it's a massive work and everyone's in on it.
Yeah.
Even the doc, even
Yeah.
Dr. Baker.
Yep. I mean,
100%. You've
again,
seen all
a
these,
couple months
these
ago.
YouTube videos with fake doctors.
Listen, it was only a couple months ago. Cody Rhodes apparently had a broken wrist, forearm, and then that come off in the middle of a match.
Yeah.
It's going to end with Adam Cole and Jeff screwing each other. It's just who's going to do it first. And I do genuinely believe it's Adam Cole.
Yeah.
Because
No, I do as well because
I think he seems to suit a heel a lot better than a babyface. And MJF is really getting over as a babyface now.
Mhm.
And how better to get people to cheer for him than Adam Cole to stick it to him.
And you know what my thing is as well, and I realised this at Wembley, that if Adam Cole turns on MJF, I will be seriously pissed off. But if MJF turns on Adam Cole, that's fine. That's absolutely fine.
But we expect that.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
because again, I think at Wembley, like, and I forgot who I'd said this to, like, and like, you do suspend your disbelief wrestling, don't you? But All In Wembley for about the last 15 minutes of that main event, that might as well have been like 100% real, 100% legitimate. Do you know what I mean? Because I was, I was just.
He's gone. Where's he?
Is he gone?
again? Has he clicked the wrong button? See, this is what happens when it's live. Nothing can actually go wrong. This is all planned. So it's like wrestling when the lights go off and they come back on again. What we're going to find is Mike will be back in the totally different character, or he'll be laid flat out in the middle of his room where he's podcasting from.
Oh yeah, we knew this was going to happen.
Of course it did. Nothing can go wrong when it's live, pal. But I think there's a thing about the MJF and Cole thing. A lot of the character stuff's been about MJF like embracing friendship that he talks about to being a heel, because it's like, I finally opened up and I'm still getting, so what's the point ever open up to anybody regardless? Or that's the thing. It's like, how does that then not reinforce what Max has always believed about people, etc., unless you get him to the point where he gets screwed over and you don't quote unquote turn him face, but he's just out to get Adam Cole and is then for a de facto face, and then let the people embracing him realize that there's a little bit more to it, because he's already said, I'm a scumbag, but I'll be your scumbag. So I think that's the thing. But it is a weird thing of like, how would it not push his character further to be more of a prick? But in a sense that he just has to go after Adam Cole and his blood, and that's it. And then whatever happens after that, and however they tell the story. So I think that'll be interesting to see how it plays out. If it is Cole that turns, how MJF reacts to that in terms of what his character is and what he does. And I think that's certainly the more interesting one, put it that way, definitely.
It's such an intelligent storyline as well, compared to, and I think we've been kind of spoiled with that. I think over the last couple of years with these storylines that are maybe, a bit more than your average. I don't like you. I want your championship. Let's get in the ring kind of thing. Apologies to anyone with these technical difficulties. I think we might have gone off live on Facebook, but I'm going to set that up again just quickly. And as you say, the edit for kind of the online will be absolutely it'll be top notch, as it were. But I think I know what's going on, so we shouldn't have any more issues with it. So if you just bear with us, and I'll start that up again. But I don't think anyone's seeing us at the moment. But it is at least recording all three of us, so that's the main thing. I don't know what's happened with it today. Like, I think it's because Kev's not here. That's what's happened.
Ruined the dynamic.
Yeah, he has. I think it was like, how dare he?
How dare he have a life?
How dare he have a life? It's disgraceful.
Exactly.
Right. No, hang on. Well, it's just Facebook's taking forever to get to where I want it to, but like I say, when you listen back to the edit, to be fair, I could probably stitch the video together quite nicely as well. But we'll see. Streaming software.
There was some other interesting news that I saw this week. I was Dakota Kai's Twitch stream.
Oh yeah.
And where is that? She was saying that Evie, A-Kid, and Kevin Steen are all doing well and are now working with El Generic with the orphanage. So that's good to hear.
Oh, that is
nice.
Good to hear. That's what we wanted.
You know, indeed it is.
There we go. Right, we're live again on Facebook.
That, I was like, I had a good chuckle at that one. I did want to say something about like we're back and we're bigger than Taylor Swift at a Kansas City Chiefs game, but you know, I think that might go over some people's heads.
Yeah, apologies for anyone watching on Facebook. We're having a few technical difficulties tonight, but I think we're going to ride them out. We're blaming the fact that Kev's not here and he's supping prime, and we'll get back to things next week. But we've just been talking about obviously Adam Cole and the fact that we think he's a dirty liar, and then we're gonna move on now to a little bit of a chat around WrestleDream, which is where we'll find out if Adam Cole is a big fat liar, to be perfectly honest. So I had a bit of an idea about this and a bit of thought, and people will have seen on the Nerdy Up North group and on the Mark Side of the Ring group that basically this is going to be kind of a regular thing that we're going to have rolling. Essentially like a Wrestle League where we're kind of predicting kind of the results of matches, and there is a prize at the end of this. So not only is there a prize for kind of our listeners who want to get involved, but out of the four of us as well, one of us is going to become the Wrestle Prophet champion for Mark's Side of the Ring. I'm thinking this time we'll stretch. I'm thinking stretch it out to WrestleMania. So we'll see around WrestleMania weekend kind of who is the king of this and who's kind of got these predictions. So the way it's going to work is this. Obviously, we've got WrestleDream tonight. We're going to go through the card. We're going to talk about some predictions. Obviously, for every prediction we get right, we get a point. For every championship match that we get right, we actually get 2 points. So, you know, if you get it right that a champion's retained or that a title changes hands, happy days. You know what I mean? That'll be, you'll get 2 points. And we're going to keep track from WrestleDream right through to WrestleMania, nights 1 and 2. What I want to check with you guys, unfortunately, Kev's not here to help us make this decision. Are we just including WWE and AEW events? Do you want to throw NXT events in there? Impact Wrestling events? Is there any other kind of wrestling events that you'd want to try and predict over the next few months?
Definitely NXT. With the way that's been going on lately. Yeah. I mean, TNA, I don't watch it that often, but I don't mind taking a stab in the dark at some matches.
Well, should we add NXT in initially?
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously if we find this picks up, we're enjoying it, like we can maybe throw Impact into the mix at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So this is basically how it's going to work for everyone listening. Obviously you guys, it's the same as well. So I'd put on the groups to enter this. So it's going to be a bit short notice for people kind of listening. After all of our technical difficulties we've had today, there might be a bit of short notice for some people who aren't listening live. But what we want ideally is for people to have their predictions in before WrestleDream starts tonight, because obviously we want to include WrestleDream in these predictions. So I've already had quite a few messages, some private messages, some in the groups, predicting who they think is going to win tonight in the various events. We'll go through our winners as well. And as I say, we'll be keeping track with 2. So the first, obviously it'll be our listeners. We'll have a Wrestle Profit champion. And as I say, there is a prize for that. But there will also be, out of the 4 of us, including Kev, there will be a Wrestle Profit Mark Side of the Ring champion. And again, there is a prize. I know what the prize is. I'm going to reveal it a bit closer to the time. I do think that it's a prize fit for a champion. And we'll see. I think it's going to be really good. So, like I say, what I'm going to quickly do now is I'm going to see if I can share my screen and show you my proper geeky little spreadsheet, because everybody loves a spreadsheet. Let's have a look. There we go. Can you see?
Nothing yet.
No.
Just you.
Just me. Is there anything coming up? Just me. Sharing this tab to Riverside FM. So you know what it is. I think that's fine. I'll just keep doing this, and what I'll do is I'll share this.
We got it.
Yes, the tech issues are starting to subside. So here we are. So obviously we're going to start with Wrestle Dream. We've decided we're going to include NXT events. So I think Deadline's coming up. I know Stand and Delivers usually around WrestleMania weekend, and obviously we've got the Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, Fastlane next week. Loads of events that we can try. And just see who we think is going to win. You can see that I've put my predictions in there. I'm going to start at the bottom because I've decided, and I feel like I've ruined this a little bit. I've given a name for Orange Cassidy and Hook's tag team, and I think that they can have it, and I won't charge them, right? Because I think it's fantastic. Hook à l'Orange is an amazing name for a tag team between Orange Cassidy and Hook. So for me, if they want to take that name, that's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. It's better than it's like when they squash 2 names together and it's like Hookhausen or Showmiz, and I'm like, yeah, okay, Hook à l'Orange. It's clever. So let's go through these together. So I actually think that they're going to win the tag match. I went a bit back and forth on this, and I changed it because I was thinking about obviously the winners of that match are going to get a shot at the AEW tag team titles. So for me, I was thinking to myself, I just didn't see the Lucha Brothers or the Bucks winning it, just because they obviously Phoenix is our international champion at the moment. I don't see the Bucks having recently been sniffing around the tag titles getting back in there. And the same with the Guns. So I've gone with Orange Cassidy and Hook as a face team, which will make more sense when we get to my prediction for FTR versus Aussie Open. Robbie, do you agree with us, or who do you think is gonna win in terms of Young Bucks, Lucha Brothers, the Guns, and Hook à l'Orange?
I've gone for Orange Cassidy and Hook on this one.
I'm disappointed you didn't say Hook à l'Orange, but it's fine.
It's just they're making a big deal out of being a tag team at the minute.
Yeah.
And normally when they make big deals out with teams, they kind of tend to get a bit of a push.
Yeah.
And plus the way Cassidy was as the international champion, I think he deserves another title.
Absolutely. I think when we get to the end of the year, when we get to the end of the year and we're talking about kind of some of the best wrestlers of the year, you've got to put Orange Cassidy in that conversation for me. And I know that'll piss off some people who don't like his style, but I mean, what a title run. Phenomenal with the international title.
Yeah.
What about you, Peter? Who do you think is kind of going out with the number 1 contendership for the AEW tag titles?
I'm going for the Guns.
Okay.
I think I'm picking the Guns. They're so much better than they were on the last run.
Mm-hmm.
They're so much more over, and the way they're building up Bullet Club Gold, I think that's going to be the first domino to fall, and them kind of carrying a lot of belts, titles, etc. I think they're going to be pushed as one of the dominant factions in the AEW moving forward pretty soon. So I think this might be the first step towards that.
Yeah. And you'll see Kev's results are empty there too. I'm going to get them from him before Wrestle Dream starts, so obviously he can be a part of this too. Swerve Strickland versus Hangman Page, which is one of the matches that I had money on being the main event potentially. When Bryan Danielson said he didn't want a main event, I wondered if it would be Swerve and Hangman. Hangman, as I think I'd said last week, and I've read a couple of other people say, he often kind of almost feels like one of the main characters, if you like, and the protagonist of AEW. Swerve looking, to make that case that it's his house. I've gone with Swerve. I think he's on an absolute tear, but not really winning much, but just like really kind of building as a character. I think I think he deserves a big win like this. It gets him in the main event, and it can prolong this feud as well because it did just seem to come out of nowhere, but they've built it up really nicely. So for me, I'm going for Swerve. How about you, Peter?
Yeah, I'm going for Swerve as well. I think it's time for a big win, and I think you need to build up. He's a great villain. You need to build up, give him that win, to give him some credibility behind these words. And if MJF's turning face eventually, that we think it's going to be, they need a villain that people can actually dislike, and to fill that spot. And at the minute, he's doing a great job of that. And there's nobody better to do that against than Hangman at the minute.
And Swerve for me is absolutely a contender to potentially take the title off MJF when the time comes. If it isn't Adam Cole, then he's not a dirty liar, as we've said. What about you, Robbie? Is that a full sweep for Swerve, or are you thinking Hangman?
I've gone for Hangman.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. I can't get away with Swerve. I don't know if I'm missing something. I don't know. I just don't think he's at that level yet to be able to beat someone like Hangman Page.
I think for me, he's like, well, obviously when he signed and he came in, I was like, all right, okay. You know what I mean? Like I didn't really feel one way or the other, but I think it just shows how some people will thrive in the other company. And I think his AEW run, particularly since he's broke away from Keith Lee, has been awesome. But hopefully, I mean, we'll see how this match goes, and we'll, hopefully, he can prove those doubters wrong. So we've got Omega, Jericho, and Ibushi against the Don Callis family. So Takeshita, Will Ospreay, and Sammy Guevara. I mean, hell of a 6-man tag. Like this has the potential to be match of the night just for Will Ospreay being in there alone. I think I'd said one of my matches of the year at this point is Omega Ospreay at Forbidden Door. Absolutely phenomenal. So to see the two of them get back together in the ring in any capacity is going to be exciting. And I plumped for the Callis family. I think it's too early for them to lose at this point, particularly with Sammy joining. These teasers of whether Ospreay is going to join AEW full time at any point. I just think it would kind of kill the story dead if it was Omega, Jericho, and Ibushi. But I could be wrong. What do you think, Robbie?
Gone Omega, Jericho, and Ibushi.
Okay.
I think Jericho and Omega do a win over them, and I still think the story could keep going. The heels don't take it kindly. They'll do a little beat down at the end of the match, and it'll just drag it on. Plus, I genuinely dislike Don Callis. Genuinely don't like him. He's just a smarmy little twat.
His heat is amazing at the moment. Amazing. Like him and Dominic Mysterio, isn't it? Him and Dominic Mysterio could start a riot between them. It's unbelievable. To think that Rey Mysterio's son and the Jackal, for Attitude Era fans, to think in 2023 that they're kind of biggest heat missiles, is something else. But and it's like my wife, she always notices his shoes. She's always like, "Oh, is that the guy with the shoes?" And I'm like, well, a lot of them have shoes, but yeah, his are pretty special. I mean, what do you think, Peter? In terms of breaking the deadlock between me and Robbie, do you think Don will take it, or do you think it is this dream team of Omega, Jericho, and Ibushi?
I think it'll be the Callis family, and I think just to prolong it, and I think what you're going to find is Jericho, they'll get the wins back, but they'll get them in the singles action. So Kenny will get Takeshita at some point, and then obviously Ospreay at some point, and then obviously we know Sammy and Jericho will kind of clash again and extend that one, because obviously we've got Full Gear coming up. They'll have the New Year Smash special, and then before we know it's going to be Revolution again. So there's plenty of kind of marquee, and Winter is coming as well. So there's plenty of little marquee shows they've got that they're going to need something for. And I think, you could argue that the Callis family is a little bit more of a cohesive unit at the minute, because, there's always tension between Jericho and Omega, and then obviously Ibushi's come in, but Ibushi, storyline wise, it hasn't been the Ibushi that we've all kind of grown to love and respect. So I think from a storyline point of view, the odds are stacked, and I think that's why ultimately on this occasion, the whole's a little bit less than the sum of the parts for them. So that's why I've gone for the Callis family.
So again, the match that I think everyone presumed was going to be the main event, then it came out Bryan Danielson, as graceful as he often is, didn't want to be the main event, but I still think it's going to be a phenomenal match. Bryan Danielson, Zack Sabre Jr., really, really hard one to call. I've gone with Bryan Danielson just due to the fact that he's the full timer. Obviously, he's kind of on this like little retirement tour at the moment. I say a little as if it like really diminishing it there. That was really arsey. I didn't mean it like that. But yeah, like for me, it just, I wouldn't be disappointed to see Zack Sabre Jr. win, but I just don't think it's on the cards. Not on this occasion anyway. What do you think, Robbie?
Danielson.
Yeah.
For the simple fact I haven't seen any of Zack Sabre Jr. matches except the ones he's done in AEW. So it was just kind of, I went for basically who I know on that one.
Fair. How about you, Peter?
Yeah, I think it'll be Danielson. I think the retirement he's last year, and is going to be something special. And I think it'll lead to something more than just kind of him kind of riding off in the sunset. I think there will be a world title in this run at some point. Whether he wants it or not, I think he deserves it. And I think he should be told, "You're getting the belt for a little bit. Shut up and deal with it, because you've genuinely earned it. So take it." And I'm a bit like Robbie. I've seen little bits of Zack Sabre Jr. Not an awful lot, but I think just the Ted Danielson's on. I think it should be him, and I'm going to stick with who it should be to go, and it should be Danielson.
So now we get into our championship matches. So as we say, for these, we would get 2 points if we're lucky enough to get the correct result. So we'll start with Eddie Kingston versus Shibata. So this is for both Eddie's Ring of Honor and New Japan Strong titles. Shibata's pure title isn't on the line. I've gone with Eddie just because I just don't, I just don't see Shibata becoming a triple champion. I think that would be we'd be seeing a lot more of him on AEW TV, which wouldn't be a bad thing by any stretch. But I think obviously Eddie's Ring of Honor title reign has just started as well. I think it's going to be a hard-hitting match. Probably arguably the most hard-hitting of the night. But I do think that Eddie's going to come away with it. Are we in agreement there, or does anyone feel differently?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, same here. I think if it was just for the New Japan Strong title, I would have maybe said Shibata, but with the ROH one as well, no, not a chance.
Yeah. So we move on to the TBS title. Chris Statlander versus Julia Hart. I think Julia Hart's wrestled more in the last 3 weeks than I've gone to work. I feel like every time I'm turning on AEW TV, Julia Hart's in a wrestling match, which isn't bad. I feel like even in that time, we've seen that improvement. I mean, she's really young. The crowd clearly like the gimmick as well. I mean, I love the House of Black. And I remember when she joined the House of Black, I think it's because of the gimmick that she had at the time. I was a bit really? I don't see how this makes sense, but she's really taken the ball and run with it. And we're at this point now where, she feels like a legitimate contender to Chris Statlander. Obviously, Chris isn't going to have the kind of title reign that Jade Cargill had, where it goes on for over a year. I think this is where it ends, and I think that Julie's going to take the title tonight. What do you think, Peter?
I think I initially said in our group that I was picking Statlander, but I watched a bit more over the last 2 years, and I just went, I think they might actually do the right thing and pull the trigger on Julia Hart. So I'm going. Yeah. I did say Statlander initially, but my official prediction is Julia Hart.
Okay, and that's fine because, to be fair, as we'll get to, I changed one of mine when I was 2, so totally fine to change it at this point. How about you, Robbie? Are you sticking with us and Julia, or do you think that we're going to have another title retained?
Yeah, Julia Hart. Again, they're giving her a lot of TV time.
Eddie Kingston.
I was talking to Bex because we were watching the Julia Hart match, and she was asking, is she any good? I was like, she's getting better from what she was when she was playing a cheerleader. I think now is the right time to put the belt on her.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're now moving again. Well, we've talked about this a little bit already, or certainly kind of what some of the moving pieces of it. That we've got MJF versus the Righteous in a handicap match for the Ring of Honor tag titles because Adam Cole has either broken his ankle or he's a dirty liar or both. So a really interesting one for me. And I think I was talking to you about this, Robbie. Like, I'm really digging the Righteous. Like, I'd read something the other day where people were saying, like, oh, they seem really low tier, and like it's just gonna be this, that, and the other. And like, I'm not getting that vibe. Like, maybe it's because there's definitely a Wyatt family vibe going on there, but not enough that I feel like they're ripping them off or anything like that. It's just that same sort of creepy backwoods kind of vibe from the two of them that I really, really like. And I feel like, obviously, I don't watch a lot of Ring of Honor kind of week to week, but I feel like, obviously, MJF and Adam Cole aren't going to be on that show. I don't even know if they've appeared on the Ring of Honor shows at all. The Righteous, I think, would be a really good tag team to take those titles. And you could, however that you do that finish, you could continue the story. So I've gone for the Righteous. And, you know, it'd be quite fun to see MJF kind of pull something out of the bag. But again, I don't think it's going to happen. I think we're going to see the Righteous be the new ROH tag team champions.
Yeah, I went for the Righteous as well. MJF doesn't need that title. Adam Cole doesn't need the tag titles to carry that on. But I know there's been rumors going around that MJF will have a tag partner, or could have a tag partner called Adam. As much of that is true, I don't know. But it's the Righteous that made me think Adam Cole is a dirty liar. They wrote it on his little cutout.
Right. I know they did. They did.
That's what
I saw that on Collision.
Made me think, maybe.
What do you think, Peter? Do you think the Righteous taking the gold?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's what I initially said. Anyway, not to make sense, but I think it's going to be the thing that pushes the storyline forward. The Ring of Honor tag belts need to be on with Ring of Honor primarily talent and get them off there, and then just lets the story push forward. And it, you know, it helps the MJF character of like struggle but can't just quite get there. But then it also lets Adam Cole say, you can't do it without me, or, you know, goes down to commiserate and then takes the cast off because his foot's not really broken because he's a dirty lion, and he whacks him with it. So I think it's that one. But yeah, it's definitely the Righteous. So
it's funny, you know, because like when we're recording these, and I know we're only in episode 3, I think to myself, what am I going to call the episode? And I think today it's going to be called Adam Cole is a dirty liar. So I hope he doesn't take offense to that. I hope he just realizes that we're saying that because he's such a good storyteller that if he's genuinely broken his ankle, we don't believe him. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
him.
It's a compliment, I think.
I'll be tagging him in all the posts. It's fine.
Yeah,
he'll hear it. But a thing with that match as well is a loss doesn't hurt MJF because it's 2-on-1.
Absolutely.
If Adam Cole doesn't get involved and he is genuinely injured, then MJF's not hurt because at the end of the day, like I said, it's 2-on-1. Chances are stacked against him anyway.
Yeah, I think we talking about the.
This is the one that I
what
are you going to say there? Sorry.
I was going to say the Cole thing about he's a liar and like tag him and all that. And so I came up with an idea for a thing. It's like we hate Adam Cole, but we love Chugs. And we said we need to put that in a t-shirt. And I was like, I'll tweet that. It just pays enough. I'll just spam tweet him that all day. There's a t-shirt idea for him.
So this was the one that I probably found the hardest to decide, and that's what influenced my decisions around the number 1 contenders match, which was FTR versus Aussie Open. Now, I really like, and I don't know if it's just from kind of seeing them when I went all in, or whether it's just kind of they've been more on TV and kind of getting TV time. But I've got a lot of time for Aussie Open. I think they're brilliant. I think they're an awesome team. And I just feel like as great as FTR are, and this has been a particularly epic run for them, I feel like this is maybe where the run ends. And I don't know if maybe this is an emotional pick rather than a sensible pick, but I'm going to go for Aussie Open. I think Aussie Open are going to win the AEW tag titles tonight. And then that's going to make a bit more sense for a face team like Hook à l'Orange, copyright Mike Norris. That it's going to make more sense for them to be challenging. I mean, what do you think, guys? Do you think it's going to be Aussie Open, or are you happy that FTR's kind of epic tag team title run is going to continue?
For me, I could go either way. I've picked FTR, but I wouldn't be surprised if Aussie Open win. And just with them saying it's been counting the days since they last faced them But yeah, it was a 50-50 flip with the coin. I went FTR.
Fair. I think it's the hardest one, I think, on the card. And that's not to say I'm sure I will get some wrong, but I felt very sure about most of them, whereas this one I really had to think about it. What do you think, Peter? Do you think it's Aussie Open? Do you think it's FTR?
I think it's FTR. And that's no, and I find it hard to kind of root for the Aussies anyway. You know, I'm a cricket fan. I just can't do it. I'm sorry. But no, it's FTR. I don't think it's kind of time for the run to end, and I think if the title run's going in, just make it feel a little bit more than just on. This it just feels the future's being a little bit rushed. I like the future of being going a little bit more before they kind of get conquered. I think so. But we'll see. It could go either way, and I won't be surprised if, like everyone else says, if it is Aussie Open. But I still think there's another couple of months left in the FTR run before they eventually turn the belt over to someone else.
Fair. And then what is going to be our main event? It's been announced it'll be Christian Cage versus Darby Allin. 2 out of 3 falls. Christian Cage arguably on the run of his career at the moment in terms of promos and stuff. Like, I can't even describe how hilarious this guy is at the moment. Such dark humor as well, which is just my humor. I just think it's fantastic. I guess for me, I mean, I know Luchasaurus. Well, no, Christian would disagree with me, wouldn't he? But Luchasaurus had the title for a few months. Christian has only just kind of officially won it. I think it would be a real shame to take it off him at this point. So I'm keeping Christian beating Darby Allin, obviously by completely nefarious ways. But I think Christian's going to retain the TNT title, which it'll be really cool. I mean, I know obviously he'll have headlined TNA events. He probably headlined a WWE event or two, but I think it'll be really good to see him headline this event and get a big win. What do you guys think? Do you think Christian Cage, or do you think Darby's going to win that TNT title once again?
Christian for me. And I've been calling this for months now, but with a Nick Wayne heel turn, he's just involved in it a bit too much for him to not have any effect. So I think Christian will win. It'll be a 2-1. But I think Nick Wayne will be the reason for the Christian win. But then is this where we could then potentially see Edge come back? We don't know. I mean, I'm just spitballing. I'd like to see him turn up. It'd be the perfect person to debut against.
Yeah.
But yeah, Christian for me. And then he adopts Nick Wayne.
And I mean, he can adopt me as well. Like, I like my dad. I get on really well with him, but he'll understand. How about you, Peter? Do you think Christian's retaining?
Yeah, I think it'll be Christian. As much as I would love to see Darby again, I think Darby's one of those ones that needs a bit more of a hill to climb in a more brutal fashion, I think. But I think it'll be Christian, and I think I've got a sneaky suspicion that if Edge does turn up, I think it's 50-50 that he stares down Christian at the end, or he might help Christian win. And then we get Edge and Christian against Darby and Sting at some point.
I mean, that would be a hell of a match. But this ties in nicely that for every event we're going to have, which I didn't say at the start, we're going to have like a 5-pointer. Yeah. So it's just a yes or no question. On this occasion anyway. Obviously, sometimes they might be a bit more complex. But our 5-pointer question for Wrestle Dream, which we've already kind of touched on, will we see the debut of the artist formerly known as Edge? I'm guessing he doesn't have the rights to the name Edge. I mean, I might be wrong, but I think he's well known enough as Adam Copeland, that it would probably be all right. So obviously we've talked about it. We've shared a few ideas in terms of, whether we think we are going to see him tonight. His contract apparently expired yesterday, so he could turn up. Wouldn't be an issue. What do we think? Yes or no? Do we think he's turning up, or do we think that it's kind of fantasy booking and maybe he's coming later?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I was like, yes. I've got to pick an answer. Yes, he'll be there. He'll be there.
I'm going to say the same simply because I don't want to be left out.
It's just that there's a couple matches where if he came in, it would make sense. Like the MJF match, Adam, and obviously the Christian match with former partner.
The 6-man tag as well. the Canadian connection. I don't know what if he's had any kind of, but obviously there's history with him and Jericho as well. So at least from that point of view, I mean, I don't want an Edge Jericho run, but there's a reason to cost somebody from that one. So there's a potential to, or at least to set something up for the future anyway.
So for anyone watching live on Facebook, you've got until so it's about 4 hours from now that WrestleDream will be going live. So again, feel free to email marksizepod@gmail.com or message in the group with your predictions. And don't forget those championship title matches. There'll be 2 points for those. Feel free if you want to try and get an extra 5 points to say whether you think that Adam Copeland, aka Edge, will be debuting tonight. And then next week we'll do the same with Fastlane as well, and we'll kind of get the predictions. Don't forget, like I say, we're going to see who the Wrestle Prophet is, and we'll kind of work our way up all the way to WrestleMania. So we'll be talking just a little bit about our favorite entrance themes. It's a shame Kev's not here because he had some really good ones that he kind of suggested and stuff. I might give him a bit of time to sort of pick his brains and stuff on that at some point in the week. However, what we're going to do now, excuse me, if I can find where on earth I put my phone, because I had it before. There we go. So I asked the guys to get, I've blatantly nicked this from a new YouTube channel, but I think a lot of the ideas that we have just nicked from places. I think Kev calls it gimmick infringement, which I think is fine. So if you've got a bottle of water or a bottle of juice or a bottle of something with you, I'm gonna read out some wrestling jokes for you here, really, and we're gonna see which of these get a reaction and which of these don't. And obviously, I want you to try and keep the water in if you can. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, I'll if you can't, I understand. Also, I don't want you to die because I've not known you for long, but I quite like you. So just bear that in mind too. So we'll go through and we'll see how we do with this. I've trawled the internet for some of these. I'm proud of a couple of them. I'm going to try and do them from least funny to funny. So, in my opinion. So, we'll see how we go. So, the first one here. Why does Mick Foley buy supermarket brand cola? He always goes for the cheap pop. Oh, it was nearly some there, but we held it together. That was fine. I was pleased with that. Why did Rikishi... I've forgotten the punchline of this one. Why did Rikishi become a Chinese food chef? He did it for the wok. Oh, I'm gonna get one of his. This might be a hard one, being that I've lost my voice this week, but I'll try my best. What did Hulk Hogan ask for in arts and crafts class? What you gonna glue, brother? We're getting there. I feel the scales going up. I was watching the wrestling with my son today when I finally snapped at the whole charade and blatant fakeness of it all. It's about time I told him he's adopted. that one got you, didn't it? That one got Peter. Last one, which is my favourite. What is Gordon Ramsay's favourite wrestling show? It's fucking Raw!
Oh, fucking hell.
That was the best one. Robert, you did really well there. You held it right to the end.
God, is the last one,
I think it was the terrible Gordon Ramsay impression that did it. There we go. I might look for some more, but I just wanted to share those with you anyway. So, Brill, awesome. That's literally all I had. That was it. So we're going to move on now. We're going to move on now to wrestling themes. So again, we threw this out to the Mark Side of the Ring group, and we were talking about kind of the all-time great entrance themes. And this has got me thinking all week. And as I said, it's a shame that Kev's not around because did he come up with this or did you come up with this? I'm trying to think who the suggestion was.
Kev. It's Kev.
Yeah.
Definitely wasn't me.
Excuse me. So I think... Yeah, so it's a shame he's not here, but like I say, I might pick his brains about it at some point. I think entrance music's such an important thing, and like for me, obviously I love me wrestling, but like the other podcasts I've done, my other passion in life is music. So when a wrestler has good entrance music, that's kind of half the battle, really. So we throw it. We threw it out to the Mark Side of the Ring group. We'll have a look at the chart. We'll see kind of what was picked. But let's go with kind of classic themes first, and then we'll kind of drift more into kind of current themes. If you were picking like your all-time favorite wrestling theme, kind of maybe 2 or 3, what jumps out for you straight away? We'll start with Robbie.
Classic one, I would have to say Razor Ramon. I just thought his music was so cool, and the way he come out with his little swag, it was like, yeah, I'm for this. Like that's one of me all-time favorite. Yeah. It's like you knew.
It's like I knew. The bad guy. I mean, I love Scott Hall. I love Razor Ramon. He's one of my favorites. And again, his music is effortlessly cool as well. And I think it shows that sometimes, like, and that was Jim Johnston's thing, wasn't it? That he knew how to just create the perfect music for someone. And that's a really, really good example of it. Like, even stuff, and I'm not saying it's one of my favorites, but if you even think about like Mankind, like coming out, having the, having different music to come out, the different music going back in, which I believe was his idea. But again, how the music was very different, and it fit this thing of like, oh well, he's won, so like the music's more peaceful, that inner turmoil's like resolved. And I always thought that was really cool. So I imagine we'll name loads of Jim Johnston ones today because the guy was an absolute legend.
Yeah, it should be in the Hall of Fame.
Not totally. I mean, what jumps to mind for you initially when we talk about great entrance themes, Peter?
If we're talking classic ones, it's Bret Hart.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an unapologetic Bret Hart mark, but that the guitar, was that a scowl, Robbie? Did I pick a scowl? I think this goes to something we'll probably end up touching on. I think obviously music's still subjective, but obviously it's kind of how it makes you feel, what that kind of brings you back to in terms of memories. And Bret Hart was my guy as a kid, and just that opening riff, and he's one of my childhood heroes. So I think it's always there. Like it'll always be in like a top 5 because like his default, that's it, and that's favorites. That was always my music on a Create the Wrestler. Was I'd rip Bret Hart's theme from somewhere, so it's still that classic Bret Hart theme from the 90s, definitely.
I think for me, someone who just always had amazing themes, certainly from kind of once he got to the main event, was Triple H. So we can talk about Motorhead in the game. Now I'm a massive Motorhead fan. To be fair, I think it's probably WWE that got me into Motorhead, to be honest. But went to see them a few times before Lemmy passed away. I think they're an amazing band. But even before kind of Motorhead were involved in Triple H's themes, like when I first got into wrestling, Triple H was like the big baddie. Like we're talking about Don Callis. Like I hated Triple H. Like, and I think that's why he's now one of my favorites, because I realized what an amazing heel he was. Certainly, kind of in the year 2000, there was no one doing it better. Like he was phenomenal. Yeah. And I think the music he was using at the time, so that was my time. For me, like it's still an absolute banger. Like, and I think for me, it was a shame it went. Just having to get replaced by Motorhead, so you can forgive it because that's iconic. But I think if we're thinking about, fantastic things, certainly from the Attitude Era, I always think of My Time. I think it's a really good one. And it was the same guy who sang the DX theme. So there was that kind of continuity as well, which I thought was really cool.
I think that they mentioned My Time because I really like, it's one of those ones you kind of forget about for a bit, and here it's like, oh God. But I think that kind of ties back. One is like you started watching wrestling around about the Rumble and that's when he had it in the heel. So it's the thing that kind of pulls you back. That one, it's tied to some kind of a core memory, which no matter whatever else kind of comes after that, you're always going to come back to that one for that reason, because it's got something so strongly attached to it.
Yeah, I mean, you've hit on a nice one there. If we're talking about entrance themes that maybe lost in the annals of time, but they were like absolutely, because again, there were a couple that I'd thought of. What was the one that I'll have to have a think. There was one that Kevin said he couldn't believe hadn't been named by some people, and it was an NXT theme. You know what I mean? Are there any, not necessarily WWE, it could be WCW, TNA, wherever. Are there any themes that you think that have been unfairly forgotten about that actually were really good?
Diesel. WWE, yeah, not when he went to WCW. It's just the honking of the truck.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he played up to his music. It was cool music. He was cool. And that I was surprised he got no votes at all.
Mm-hmm.
Very surprised on that one.
Yeah.
Forgotten ones. I don't think people remember it as much. I liked when Edge had Rob Zombie's "Never Gonna Stop." I
Yeah,
thought
me
that
too.
was. I loved that, and that's another one I kind of get. Oh yeah, because he's had Metal Lingus for so long. So that period of time you had that, and I was like, oh, I like that. That's one. And I think people forget how good Jake the Snake's entrance music was in terms of how it fit his character,
Yeah.
and it's just kind of menacing for one, but it worked either heel or a face because the way the kind of tempo shifted. I think that was sorely kind of forgetting about. I think that's a good one.
I also kind of liked, so like with WCW, that there were some that were blatantly, they were like, we'd like this song, but we don't want to pay for it. So we're just going to change it ever so slightly. So DDP in WCW with Self High Five. And weirdly, I can't even remember why I was listening to it, but I was playing it to my wife like just last week. And she was like, that's just Smells Like Teen Spirit. I was like, I know. But I feel like if you gave Smells Like Teen Spirit to DDP, it wouldn't fit. Like, it doesn't fit his character at all than WCW. But for some reason, I felt like Self High Five really did, with all the little like DDP, too cool, all that stuff. Like, DDP was my man in WCW. Like, I thought he was awesome. Another one, which again, Jeff Jarrett. So they used this complete, almost note for note ripoff of Cowboy by Kid Rock, but it worked really well for his Chosen One gimmick. So I quite liked when WCW did that. I think with Sting, it was Seek and Destroy. I don't think they used the proper Seek and Destroy. I might be wrong there. But again, I used to like that when they did that.
I think I read because it's this weird thing when he came out it all in, it was Seek and Destroy. I was like, yes, because he's original. I think because I mistakenly took it for like his original WCW theme when he was like Surfer Sting. And then, but apparently in the late 90s, he did use Seek and Destroy on a couple of occasions. That was licensed. So WCW did pay the money for it because they had Voodoo Child quite for a while, for Hogan for a bit, before Jimi Hendrix Estate realized, what, we can make money from this, and charge them more. Like apparently Bischoff got it for like next to nothing, relatively speaking. So yeah, Seek and Destroy he definitely had that, like when he was like Red and like Wolfpack Sting, I think.
And I also loved how like ECW, Paul Heyman was blatantly like, well, we'd like these songs, so we're just going to use them. And there were just no repercussions at all. Like, respect to him. Like, the Sandman wants to come out and enter Sandman, that's totally fine. And the fact that like Metallica were after Napster and all this kind of stuff, and not once did they look over to Philadelphia and be like, wait a minute. Like, it just didn't happen. And I think obviously on the indies, that kind of stuff happens all the time. But when ECW had pay-per-view and TV deals, like, I think it's really... good on them. Do you know what I mean? Like that they were able to do it. I mean, Taz was using War Machine by Kiss. I always thought that was awesome. So again, ECW themes, Pantera, Walk for Rob Van Dam, which I know that Tony Khan is kind of got the rights for whenever Van Dam's around in AEW. So again, I think ECW had some awesome themes as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think at the minute AEW is really doing well with with the entrance music, even outside of the tracks they've licensed. Eddie Kingston's is really good. I know Hangman's is sort of a license, but who else was like Adam Cole's new music was class. I mean, it did top like one of the metal charts apparently. So they've done well. Yeah, when it came out, it was like one of the downloads that did well. So Mikey Ruggs has done a really good job. Like Miro's music, his version of Joe's music. They've had some absolute brilliant ones, and credit to them, because it's one of the things that really did kind of help them stand out, because for a while in the last couple of years WWE's newer stuff has been pretty poor.
And I think like if you think like for example like I think Orange Cassidy, like obviously he had like generic entrance music for a time, and then it was the Pixies, and I was like, oh, I really like that, like that works really well. And then it was Jane by Jefferson Starship that he'd been using on the indies. And at first I was disappointed that they weren't using the Pixies Where's My Mind anymore. But now I couldn't imagine Orange Cassidy coming out or anything else. Like, it's just a great piece of entrance music. I'm even using the song. It's kind of the song's been alluded to in my second book that I'm currently writing because I'm really into the song at the moment. Like I think it's fantastic, fantastic. Excuse me. We will edit that out. Dear me. I mean, what about if we think about NXT? If we think about in terms of NXT, obviously the Jim Johnston era ended. We'll try that again. The Jim Johnston era ended, and then we had CFOS. Some amazing themes from the NXT days. Are there any that we'd wanted to take a stab at and take a pick at?
I've got a list.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, I think it would be easier to pick one that wasn't. It's harder to pick one that wasn't good because I don't think they had any duds of that ones that were kind of born out that NXT, which is when a lot of the new stuff started. I don't remember anything that I really kind of like meh. And if they were meh, it's probably because the performance was a little bit, wasn't there. It was a generic performance, so they got a bit of generic music. But the rest of them I thought were outstanding.
I mean, some of the ones that got multiple votes. Excuse me. I think my voice has decided it's had enough. I think one of the ones that got multiple votes, kind of in our poll, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. I think they did the New Days, didn't they? CFOS. I think they maybe did the New Days theme as well. That's in there. Becky Lynch is pretty high up, which surprised me. Not that I think it's a bad theme, but Becky's theme is very high up there. I think the one for me, which is much lower than it has any right to be, it should have been much higher. Glorious Bobby Roode, Glorious Domination is one of my favorite entrance themes of all time. If I was a wrestler, I would be trying to nick that because I think it's absolutely amazing. Apparently written for Nakamura. Nakamura's as well. Fantastic. Really, 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 really good. I mean, how about you, Robbie? Do you like any of those kind of old school NXT Black and Gold Day themes from CFOS?
I like Undisputed Eras. Because as soon as you hear it, you know who's coming. You don't have to take a few seconds to try and think, oh, who's this? And I think that's the main point of the entrance song, is to know exactly who it is.
Yeah.
And I mean, that poll showed it. I mean, a lot the top half are, as soon as that first note hits, you know who it is. So I think that it's been quite proven with that list.
So I've got the top 10 here, but before we dive into the top 10 that we voted for in the group, if we get to modern day, so the themes that we're hearing week in, week out on WWE, AEW, NXT, obviously the one that I think we're probably going to kick in if we didn't mention is probably Cody Rhodes. I think that song's taken a bit of a... I think that song's taken a bit of a life of its own, to be honest. I mean, kind of, what are your thoughts on the song? Do you like it? Do you think it's just a bit meme-worthy? Like, is it a classic?
Yeah, I mean, I've played that like long before it was the thing to do. Like, before like even the AEW started TV, obviously you hear the music, it was like, oh, that's pretty good. I don't mind that. It was like used to have it on playing in the kind of the gym. And there's certain things in the song that turns about like when he alludes to what Dusty tells him. Obviously, I kind of clink to some of that stuff from my dad and my dad passing away. So I think there was again, you're talking about what music can kind of mean, even something as a wrestling theme. So I think there's that, and I've always liked it. And it's really good. So I'm just surprised it took so long to kind of catch on. I know that was the pandemic thing in between when Cody cooled off a bit, but you would have thought that it wouldn't have took that long for him to catch off the audience kind of connecting with that in the AEW, but it's over gangbusters and it's helped Cody. And I think when you look at that, it's something an audience can be a part of or instantly recognize when it's me. I think part of the fun being all out was like hearing some of that entrance music. Maybe it's like hearing Cult of Personality and hearing Judas or Elevate, those things. I want to hear that live and pop for that. So
Yeah.
I love Kingdom by Downstairs. I think it's a really good theme, actually.
Are there any others that stand out and kind of current ones that we're hearing week on week? I mean, I love MJF's theme, simple, but again, it's like you'd almost think that Jim Johnson had written that for him. Like it's just it feels like a very old school theme, but it just fits him so perfectly.
I like the Acclaimed.
Oh yeah,
Just it's something different every week. You listen for that rap, and 90% of it's all to do with American stuff, so you don't quite get it. But there's some weeks where, like when he took a shot at Buddy Matthews with Dominic and Rhea, it was just like it was a gas moment. I was like, shit, he went there.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's every week you're thinking, where's he going to take it this week? And it gets the crowd involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, obviously, I know I've said, and this is genuinely, I think, talking about the NXT themes, I always thought that Paige's was really cool. And I wondered that when she then turned up in AEW, would she have a theme that was as comparable? And it's fallen in reverse. So it's her partner's band who've recorded Zombified. I really like that. I think it's really cool. I think it's very much something that fits her character really well. I'm not a huge fan of the Outcasts theme, got to be said. I think it's just sort of there. So when she comes out to Zombified, again, I really like Ruby Soho coming out of Ruby Soho by Rancid. So, for me, when they come out separately and they're using those themes, I think that's really cool. God, apologies, guys. So let's go through the top 10 here. So interestingly, just before we do, you mentioned Cult of Personality. I don't know if it's just that people are maybe just a bit pissed off with Punk at the moment, but I would have had that up there, and it's not. I don't even know if it was voted for. But maybe people just aren't. Maybe people just aren't feeling Punk at the moment. I don't know.
Yeah, but the music has nothing to do with it. I mean, I
get
but it's one of these things. But again, some people might just not kind of like. I just enjoy the song as well, but maybe some people just think good song, but I don't think it works for an entrance theme.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's a fair thing as well. I do have a question for you guys once we've got through the top 10 as well. So we'll
cool.
do the top 10.
So at number 10 is Becky Lynch, which again I think is a good theme. Surprised it's as high as it is, but it's a good theme. Number 9 is The Undertaker, specifically American Badass. Am I taking it we're thinking Kid Rock here rather than Limp Bizkit? Because there were kind of a couple in that era.
I wonder if it's Dead Man. What the one he kind of had in 2002 after he had it starts with Dead Man Walking.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I kind of think that one rather.
You've done it now.
But
I mean, they were all good.
Yeah,
they all again fit his character.
Then we have Cody Rhodes, which has got to be Kingdom. Although again, he's had some good themes in his times. I did quite like Smoke and Mirrors, if I'm honest. I did think it was cool. Number 7, the Dudley Boys, my favorite tag team of all time. Again, I'm guessing we're thinking, well, they've had some awesome ones too, but I'm guessing it's kind of the one that they're most well known for. But they had Powerman 5000 Bombshell at one point, which was an awesome theme for them. And in ECW, as I recall, they didn't have music at all. They just went out and just ripped on everybody. So, so their kind of journey with entrance music's been pretty cool. Number 6, DX, of course. I did enjoy the Run DMC version, the Krypton off the Aggression album for a while. Yeah. I always thought that was cool. Number 5, The Undertaker, classic Undertaker theme. So he's kind of made the top 10 twice, which is cool. Number 4, Bray Wyatt. Now that could be any of them, to be honest. Do we know which one we were talking about specifically there?
I mean, I would have probably said the Eat the World one.
Yeah,
his first one.
Yeah, that's the one that comes to mind when I hear Bray Wyatt. That's what I think of as well. Yeah,
because wasn't The Fiend just a remix of that song?
Yeah,
it was Code Orange. Yeah. Out of the 3, I probably would pick that initial one, but I'd love all 3. And I don't think that he's as high up there as a sentimental pick. I think it's because genuinely, I think that it's a classic, and it doesn't feel like it should be a wrestling theme, but it really always really worked for him really well. Top 3. I thought this would be number 1, Edge, Metalingus. I genuinely thought that would be number 1 because people love it. One of my favorites. I went to see Alter Bridge once. They were actually headlining over. So I was going to see Blackstone Cherry, who I'm going to see again this next weekend. and Alter Bridge were playing after them. And when they did Metalingus, everyone just lost their shit, whether they're wrestling fans or not. Sign of a great song. Number 2, Triple H. Obviously, we talked a lot about that earlier. And number 1, which we haven't mentioned, Stone Cold Steve Austin, which I think is probably a worthy number 1. I think
That
Stone
was
Cold's theme is an
predictable,
epic one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But again, that sounds just like a generic song, but it works.
Disturbed's version was awesome as well.
I like a lot. I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't like that," and I was like,
It's mid.
I love that version, and you kind of find it not on Spotify anyway. If I want to listen to it, I've got to listen to it on YouTube, and that annoys me.
It was on. If anyone still listens to CDs, it was on, and the unfortunately titled "Forcible Entry,"
Oh,
the
right.
WWF album,
Yeah.
WWF Forcible Entry, which was a great album. Had the Raw theme on. Had a really random cover of Vince McMahon's theme as well, which was just bizarre, but it was pretty good. Some really good stuff on there. But yeah, Stone Cold. But I think we're talking about kind of
Classic one.
the original Stone Cold theme was our number 1. But I believe you had a question for us, Peter.
Yeah, so we've, as wrestling fans, one thing we've all done is wrestled a teddy bear. The other thing we've all done is walked down an alleyway where there's been bushes either side, and we've pretended to slap hands as we walk down the ring. What theme music would you pick if you could have theme music? It can be cribbed from another wrestler, or it can be a song that you like, that you would think, yes, that would work for me, or that's what I would like to come down the ring to.
It's a good question. I'm trying to think in my head what it usually is, because I've thought about this a lot more than I would care to admit. So I'm trying to think, because it does change a lot. I think when I was getting into wrestling, it was because Linkin Park were massive at the time. It was One Step Closer by Linkin Park, which I thought would have been quite a cool bit of entrance music. I always thought Bar With a Bar by Kid Rock, but I think Kid Cash used that in ECW, so I always thought that was quite cool. Where would I go with now? You might have to come back to me on that one. What do you reckon, Robbie?
Probably Kevin Owens. It's no nonsense.
I like that.
It's straightforward, simple. You kind of know when he comes down, you're going to get an ass kicking, and I'd go
awesome.
Kevin Owens.
It is awesome. I think so. On my wedding night, well, not the night, the wedding evening, like the disco, everything's going on. I've gone to the bar to buy a drink. So we're talking 2015. Gone to the bar to get a drink, and Shawn Michaels' music comes over the PA. And so obviously someone put it on for me. So then my groomsman dragged us back onto the dance floor and started to strip me. like take off the jacket, unbutton the shirt. Luckily the music stopped before it got too out of hand. So then
the chaps.
Before we got to the chaps. But yeah, I mean, again, Shawn Michaels is a classic one. But no, I think because I've already said it, I think something like Bar With a Bar by Kid Rock, I think would be a good one. But I think I've nicked that from Kid Cash, but that's fine. So but what do you reckon, Peter? Did you have one in mind?
The one I had, I think, there's a song by Fat Joe on his album All or Nothing called Safe to Say. Incredible. And if it was it, I'd have that one because just the way it sounded. Give it a listen if whether it's your thing or not. But I also, not me, I think it would be perfect for Fat Joe, for Samoa Joe as well. It's just it's a really kind of strong, bit of an old school vibe, like some scratches in, some Public Enemy stuff as well. So it's just kind of no nonsense, quite hard thing, and it just kind of fits that. Like a good Stinger, your first note. So if it's assigned to anyone, it's kind of an unmistakable kind of first hit. So I think for the last kind of 15 years, so that's one. If I pick one out of the ether, it would be that one.
Cool. But like I said, by all means, if you guys haven't already, let us know your favorite entrance music. Obviously, you can follow us on on social media channels. You can obviously like the group Mark Side of the Ring on Facebook, or you can email us marksidepod@gmail.com. And I think that I've pushed my luck, so I think I'm going to stop now before my voice goes entirely. Anyone who's listening to the audio version of this afterwards, like, I'll have edited it all out, so you'll think like, oh, well, I don't know what he's talking about. People who watch this live, it's been a right slog. So I do apologise to anyone who's been listening to me kind of cough and splutter through the last half hour, particularly, and the technical difficulties we had at the beginning. But, you know, obviously these things happen. But what we'll do, obviously, we'll get back into stuff next week. We'll do our predictions for Fastlane. Kev says he's going to be back as well, which it'll be nice to see him. And yeah, that'll be it for another episode of Mark's Side of the Ring. So thanks very much for joining us as always, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.
Bye guys. Peace.
See you later.